Hello, welcome to the transparency. Ooh. What is up, Mod Squad, Bumblebee, Sarah? What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry for the delay. Definitely worth the wait, I guess. Damn. Well, been busy. Hi, sorry about the delay there, Chad. Been taking care of some things lately. I'm here to answer some questions for you guys. I did just drop a spoiler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys. Let me pull this up. Let me share screen. Okay.
He got on council that January. Yes, he was working with, not working with, but the Beaver County dude.
You're John Paul.
He didn't want him to write anything about it. So he admitted to me one time, he was like, damn right, I'm gonna tell him everything. I don't want him writing about me.
So there you guys have it. There's a trailer for you. Sneak peek at a trailer for you guys. Do you guys want me to replay it? Did you guys want to see that again? Because I can do that for you. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Callie. If you guys want me to play that again, I can. Just a little something special. I mean, it's kind of like a big deal, but you know, we'll go one more time. Why not? Let's see. That's not what I want to do.
Right.
Whoopsies. Okay, here we go. Rachael Tondo, spoiler alert, 48 hours.
He got on council that January. Italian dude.
You're a John Paul.
He didn't want him to write anything about him. So he admitted to me one time, he was like, damn right, I'm gonna tell him everything. I don't want him writing about me.
So again, that was just my 1 minute and 15-second preview. I tried to pick a good picture for John Paul. So well, I'm very interested to see this follow-up. Very interested to see it. Very interested to see if any corrections will be made. It's been that aired in 2019, so like 1 year to the date of almost like Rachel's death. And it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because the DA maintains his words as that the case is active. The case, they had a grand jury as far as in looking into Sheldon for Rachel's unsolved homicide. They arrested Sheldon for Pugh's murder in less than 24 hours. And there's been no arrests, no real information since, as far as out to the public. Now, John Paul came into my chat and was laughing and saying your sources, wasn't spelling that correct at all. And but my question is, but I'm not sure what's so funny about my sources when we share sources. Mainly just one, I think, but there's no agenda. If I did an investigation with the discovery and it came to the fact that, hey, this was Sheldon or this was whoever, that's my agenda. My agenda is for truth for the Del Tondo family. I don't believe that anybody gets closure when you wrongfully accuse somebody and then convict them and then think that that's going to help the family, because that doesn't. So now what would be the motivation for, there to be these, what I deem as these other narratives out there, or I should say one. And where are these narratives coming from? So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what's on this 48 hours episode, because supposedly, you're going to be able to hear a little bit from Sheldon's uncle. You guys have heard me talk about him on this channel. I think you've actually heard his voice. But, at the end of the day, per my sources. 48 hours obviously cut, copy, pasted, whatever they wanted to make that episode. Do I think people were truthful? Absolutely not. No. Do I think they used enough people, the right people? No. You know, supposedly there's all this circumstantial evidence to arrest Sheldon. Supposedly. Allegedly. Well then, why haven't you? My thoughts are very simple. It's horseshit. Especially seeing what Beaver did and the law enforcement agencies and departments did with the Pew case. Do you guys know that in the midst of Rachel's murder investigation, the guy that you hear from on 48 Hours, Matt Modis, decides to relieve, fire, suspend, put on paid leave, couch the chief? Like literally a couple weeks after her murder. Why? What's up, Vicky? What's up, Melissa? Cammy, Callie, Canadian Mama. I mean, you have a murder investigation going on. Who wanted? Why did Couch have to be out? Well, a couple of my sources told me why. And I would like to know the relationship that John Paul had with Couch. Was it the same type of relationship that he had with Georgie David? I would think that the last thing on your mind, okay, would be at a, monthly meeting to, in the midst of an investigation into the national news attention murder of one of your close friends. I mean, that's supposedly at one point, your fiance, who's now wife's best friend. And and then only to find out that, let's see, Joe Percival then became the chief for I don't even know, 48 hours, pun intended. And then he was arrested because of what was in Lauren Watkins' phone. And then Sealock was then the chief. Sorry for the delay, Teresa. Sorry for the delay. Um, I wonder why Matt felt that Couch was, corrupt and that he was involved with whatever. I mean, what was up? You know, Matt just took office. You guys remember me talking about this, right? The leak, that email leak that went out that happened October 26th and 27th. Then there was an election. Matt then is now in, and beginning in January was in council. And then you got January, February, March, April, May. So within 5 months, Couch is going to be out right after the Del Tondo murder. And in the midst of Joe going over to be the new chief, he gets arrested within two days of that. And prior to him being able to go and give allegedly files so that Alcoa police could not be responsible and in charge of a couple of the unsolved homicides, one of which was Rachel's. He gets arrested. Yes, Matt, the fiance of the childhood BFF. Yes, they are now married. Matt and Jen. That's correct. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Especially when you're making a point. Damn it. I have another question. Whatever happened with Couch's, like, whatever happened with that? Because I know he wasn't arrested. He never came back on the force. But what happened with that? You know what happens with stuff like that, guys? It's a classic case of, if I have shit on you and you have shit on me, as long as both of us stay quiet, they don't got shit on us. But when somebody opens their mouth, well, then they're going to have shit on both of us, because then I'm going to tell on you and you're going to tell on me. But if everybody keeps their mouths closed, then they're not going to have shit on us, type of thing. But the thing that doesn't make sense here, Frankie and Matt are buddies. Frankie and Couch are buddies. But what happened? Why would Frankie let his boy Couch get and not tell his other boy Matt, like, what are you doing? Oh, McJoppin, what's up? What's up? What is the connection with JP? Oh, all of these people are John Paul sources, or they hate him. John Paul's one of those people where you either dislike him or you act like you like him so he doesn't write about you. That's the relationship that John Paul has with everybody in Beaver. He goes to the courthouse almost every day back in the day. Would love to, butter up the ladies and get them things like donuts and stuff like that. But when you're trying to be the man or like whatever, for everybody. Like you're the person that's pumping out all this information. You could stalk the dockets. You befriend certain people for certain reasons. I befriend people because because I generally want to have friendships. To John Paul, that's not his MO. It's one of those things like, what can you do for me? What can I do for you type thing. And for example, well, I'll let my 45-minute episode talk all about that. But I guess my biggest thing is, how can 48 Hours produce in 2019 this episode and have any credibility with what they're producing when I come along and do a completely separate launch of an investigation from available resources that John Paul could have got the same type of resources. And then obviously you're going to be, if you talk to people, but I would never produce something that I didn't stand behind. If I knew somebody was lying, I'm not going to let them come be interviewed by me and then be like, yeah, this is what I'm putting out there, unless I'm trying to catch them in a lie. And then therefore it's like I'm setting up a trap to then show that, that they were lying. But, if I'm working with a large production company and producing, something like a 48 Hours episode, and you're talking about, there was somebody that was murdered, and you have to have like respect for the family, number one. I don't think I would ever, I don't know how you possibly, as long as you're honest, lose, how do you lose the Del Tondo family? I mean, are they going to be talking about anything new? Because the answer is no. The Del Tondos aren't talking on 48 Hours. I mean, this is about their daughter. And then how can we not think about this? And how come, I want to know if Aaron Moriarty is going to ask the tough question to John Paul. Ask him a tough question, Aaron. Ask him. Well, I mean, you can't now because obviously it's already been recorded. But John Paul, Rachael started talking to you, and then within 6 months, she's murdered. Rachael told you that she was in fear for her life. Her ex-fiance runs a communications company and never thought that, I don't know, what if her phone was tapped? What if her, and so she knew he knew who she was talking to, or other people did. The question is do you think Rachael was murdered because she was talking to you? I know that if somebody came to me and told me that they were in fear of their life and that they thought somebody was going to, kill them, I'm not just going to say nothing or do nothing about that. So I'm just curious as what did John Paul do when Rachael told you that she was in fear for her life and that 6 months later then she's murdered? So clearly she had a reason to fear for her life because she was murdered. What did you do? Number one. Number two, did you at all think it was when you interviewed Lauren Watkins or had talked to her, I guess, as you put it in my comments, did you ask Lauren how possibly Tyree Jeter could have known that Lauren Watkins was going back to Rachel's if, in fact, the whole purpose for the text messages was to get back to Rachel's without Tyree knowing, so he didn't want to hurt his feelings. So then when he was interviewed by the police, how would he know to be able to say, oh, yeah, Lauren dropped me off and then she went back to Rachel's? What? No. That would never be coming out of his mouth, because his mouth would be like, she dropped me off and then she said she was going home or to do something else, because I could definitely tell you that it was not to go back to Rachel's, because that's not Lauren's story. I mean, I caught that on like the first moment it came out of her mouth after seeing his statement. So that'd be question 2. Question 3 is, why were there no black people in the episode in 2019? Number 4, would be, you're really good with computers. I know who sent the email out. How come you don't know that? How come you haven't reported on that? Who sent the email to you? Who sent the email to the media? How come there was never any push for you with any of the articles that you ever have written, John Paul, that Sheldon was a minor and his mom nor dad was notified about the 2016 incident? And then it wasn't until the leakage that went out to the media, and that just because you got something, it doesn't mean that you have to like do something with it. So how do you make judgment calls? Again, it's been 2 years since the first airing. Are you really going to say that the narrative is what you think it was back then? Do you think that's still the same? Do you believe that right now? Because I'm going to give you a little info from me to you that I believe 48 Hours knew that people were lying and they still let them air their stories. And not that there's anything wrong with that, I guess. I mean, teach their own. But if you know somebody is lying, or you think they're lying, do you just let it go on because it fits your narrative? Um, 48 Hours is the second episode of the Rachel Del Tondo. They said what happened to Rachel, so it's the follow-up episode. No idea what they're doing. No idea whatsoever. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting. Extremely interesting. The narrative is that, I mean, that Sheldon Jeter Jr. killed Rachel Del Tondo. Let's talk about motive. Motive means opportunity. Motive. What's Sheldon's motive? I mean, my sources say that Timmy Patrick wanted people to lie to the grand jury and was really pissed when they didn't. And that are threatening people while they're in prison right now. So, I mean, do I think my sources are lying? Nope, sure don't. Do I think Timmy Patrick has a lot of answering to do? Absolutely, I do. I want to know this question. How does the police chief, the assistant police chief, turn chief, but didn't turn chief until after Couch? So there's probably a 3-week span or something like that. How does an assistant chief not know what's going on in a murder investigation in a small, town like Alcapa? I mean, have you ever thought about that, John Paul? Have you ever thought about if you were to ask certain officers if they were, involved in the, murder investigation, why any of them would say no, especially being a chief or an assistant chief? You would just think that those two people would probably be involved. No, that's not true. So let's see. The only people on the 48-hour episode are all John Paul sources. There's not, a single one that isn't I guess maybe the word is a groomed John Paul source, meaning this. People in that town, it's very obvious and clear that there's fear, okay? And the media is supposed to actually help people that are in fear if there is corruption going on. The media is supposed to exploit that and talk about that, not create chaos and to just leave. So, for example, John Paul, did you want Couch to be out? Did you want Couch out? Did you and Matt Modest cut a deal? Just curious, just questioning, just asking. Why would Matt, in the midst of a murder investigation of his friend, say, I need to put Couch on leave? Why? Now, John Paul, how do you determine if someone's credible? If you catch them in a lie with one thing, isn't it possible they could lie about something and then tell the truth about something? So, is there such a thing as, well, they're credible this time because, the evidence? How does somebody become credible versus, not credible in your eyes? Or is it possible that they've always told you the truth and that you've cherry-picked what you're going to say and how you're going to say it? Or, because for the life of me, I don't understand how I don't understand how, for the life of me, you're the one that has said there's all this corruption, did all these articles about all this stuff. But then when it comes to Rachel Del Tondo's murder, it has nothing to do with corruption, has nothing to do with anything that you've been writing about for the past, I don't know, months. But it's this black kid who didn't even know existed. Didn't even know existed until you were, or did you know it existed? Until you were given that file with this minor's information, personal private information. And you said it yourself, John Paul, that when you talked to Rachel, she told you that her and Sheldon were just like, there was no sexual relationship, none. Did you believe her when she said that to you? Did you ever ask the officers how they came to find that car in that hospital parking lot, by the way? Did you ever ask them that? Was that ever asked? Isn't it true, John Paul, that you wanted dirt on couch because you didn't like couch? Isn't that the facts? That you wanted stuff on couch. You wanted stuff on couch. And you thought that Rachel had stuff on couch? Possibly because of Rachel and Frankie and Couch's relationship, that maybe Rachel knew something about that. Isn't it true, John Paul, that you fixate on people? You obsess to the point that you literally stalk my episodes. You record them. You obsess over things. So I get it that you obsessed over the death of Rachel Del Tondo. And the only thing you could ever, like, that you said about her was that she's a pretty teacher and that the kids loved her. She wasn't even teaching at the time that you had her as a confidential informant. What was Rachel doing with her time, John Paul? She was on paid administrative leave. You're an investigative journalism. Where'd you get that degree, by the way? But did you attempt to try to make a big old article about the fact that Rachel should have never been, I don't know, suspended from her job, paid leave or no paid leave, just should have never happened because there was no investigation into Rachel at all? Did you ever contact the charter school and talk to them and ask them any questions and get to the bottom of if the police said there was no wrongdoing? And so why was Rachel, I mean, did Rachel ever ask you about that? Did she ask you to look into that? Did she say, what can I do about it? I'm new to this case, but was wondering if she was hanging out with much younger friends at the end. No, well, according to the 48-hour sources, Rachel and Lauren were cousins. So, I mean, and again, 48 hours is a narrative. So, hang out with much younger people. There's only one person that alluded to that. Rachel was not. I mean, I think that more people should have been interviewed for that. but they probably didn't want anything to do. I don't know. I don't think people are willing to talk to you anymore, John Paul, because they talk to you and it's not what they tell you is not what you report. You twist people's words, and yeah. How are your sources nowadays? Are they talking to you? I wonder if Couch would talk to me about you. Maybe I'll give him a call. That was just one friend. It wasn't like she was hanging out with a bunch of 17-year-olds. I thought it was really funny that according to the 48-hour sources, Lauren's family, her mom is telling them that they're related to the Del Tondos and that they're cousins. Well, that's news to the Del Tondos. So why would anybody be claiming to be family if they're not? I think it may have something to do with the whole fact of the matter is that there were rumors going around that Ken Watkins was trying to get fresh or was getting fresh with Rachel Del Tondo. John Paul, did Rachel ever tell you anything about like police officers attempting to blackmail her? I mean, think about it. That night, she said, in the car, 2016, Frank Kunkel said he did not even know who Rachel was. How does he not know who Rachel is? My source just called bullshit on that. But we'll go with that. And then Rachel says, please don't tell, like begging not to tell Frank, her fiance, about this. Now, was the favor called in by Frankie to have the police not report the incident so that Rachel didn't lose her job or possibly lose her job? Or how did that come about? What do you think, John Paul? How do you think that report, who gave that okay? You know who I think did it? Couch. But why? Do you think he just did it for Frankie and just didn't tell him? Do you think that he called Frankie up and told him about it? Because you have to think about this the whole time. Rachel's under the impression that, and according to Jen, that nobody knows about this other than her and Jen, which my other sources have confirmed that that's not true at all. But so were the cops blackmailing, Rachel in any way, shape, or form? That we'll keep your secret if you do something for us? John Paul, you just don't seem like a person to believe, what someone says. I think that you probably look into it a little bit. Or are you the person that believes, hey, when they tell you what you want to hear, got it, quote them, good to go? Because then you would be no different than the police officers in 2001 with the Jamie Brown case. Know that? Yes, I know he works at Lowe's. I think I'm gonna hit him up. Um, Let me ask you a question, John Paul. What's your take on Pudick? What do you think about Pudick? You think he was corrupt? Do people tell you he was corrupt? Just notice that you never really talk about him until recently when you wanted to let the world know that Pudick started up a law firm. He went back and got his law degree, and he changed his name. And you wanted everybody to know that. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, thanks for the article. Good to know. But there was just no substance to it. Like, why'd you change your name? Like, but that's what you do. You just create chaos. You create panic in people. You create, but why do you think Pudick changed his name? I mean, don't you think that's crazy? Because you would think that, his name, he's been, detective and assistant police chief. All these things, you would think that when somebody knows you and you have a good name, why would you go and change your name? That's not alarming to you. It's pretty alarming to me. John Paul, do you think it's at all possible that people tell you what you want to hear? And would maybe embellish things because out of fear that you're going to write about them? Do you think that's at all possible? Do you think that Sheldon Jeter Jr. could possibly get a fair trial in Bieber due to your articles that you've written? Don't you think that it would be important for anybody that would be in his position to probably not have a trial in Bieber? How do you feel about that? I noticed that you haven't wrote at all about let's see. You would write about Frank Atropa's younger brother, about his drug arrests and stuff. Did you ever write about him in passing? Did you ever write about that? I believe the answer to that's no. So he's good enough to write about and talk about his arrests, but not to mention anything about a sudden tragic loss. Because it wasn't newsworthy. Let's see what else. Well, here. We'll do one more screen share, in case for those of you guys that joined us late.
he got on council that January. Yes, he was working with, not working with, but the Beaver County dude.
Yeah, John Paul.
He didn't want him to write anything about it. So he admitted to me one time, he was like, damn right, I'm gonna tell him everything. I don't want him writing about me.
What's up, crazy chick? What's good in the hood? So, I mean, that's just a teaser. That's just a teaser. Whew. I can't wait to hear how much of this interview you released and what else. Oh, thanks, Mod Squad. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll see. See how I feel. Aw. You want to come on, panel? Oh, so. Yep, really cute. Oh, fudge. Again, John Paul, I have to ask you a question because I just don't get it. So Sheldon's the last person, because he dropped off Pew, so he must have done it. But Lauren drops off Rachel and she's murdered within a minute, but somebody else must have done that. Those are like circumstance, like that's called a circumstance. Okay. Now I got CBS saying that Sheldon's this ice cream killer because is there something about going to get ice cream and then murdering somebody? Wow. You should probably ask them how often they go and get ice cream. But at the end of the day, that's considered circumstances. So, Pew's dead. Sheldon dropped him off. All eyes on Sheldon. Lauren drops off Rachel. A minute later, she's murdered dead, but all eyes are on Sheldon. I mean, is that not is that a double standard right there? Because I think it is, but I'm just curious. What's up, Allie79? Woo woo. You didn't miss much. It's just me asking John Paul hypotheticals because I know he's watching. I find it very curious that John Paul did not appear in chat tonight. I mean, it was very important for him to arrive to discuss a troll. Yes. But not to discuss his own work, sources, or Rachel. I think it's very odd. I think his source was Rachel. He believed in Rachel. He had her as a source. She told him, nothing sexual happened between me and Sheldon. Do you believe her or do you not believe her? They took a bunch of clothes in the search when Rachel died, the search warrant. When they went to Sheldon's house, they took a bunch of clothes. Do you think they tested for, what do you think they tested for? I mean, I'm guessing DNA, I mean, right? I mean, let's see what's on these clothes. If Rachel and Sheldon were having sex and having a relationship, and, you know, you got a bunch of clothes in a dirty hamper, I mean, don't you think her, like, I don't know, saliva or anything could be on, like, the clothing? Is that all possible? Like, um, aren't guys, like, weird like that? And, like, do you think it's possible that people take people's underwear? I'm just throwing stuff out there. Well, then you came in chat one night and you said that there is, what was the word you used? Digital evidence there was a relationship. Well, I'm just curious what that is. Like, unsolicited porn? Like what? Just curious. Chad. And please, guys, if you feel any certain way, you're allowed to feel however you want. If you think Sheldon, is guilty of Rachel's death, if you think, whoever it may be, please state whatever you want in chat. Say whatever you want, whatever. You're going to be respectful, though. That's all. But I think if we're talking about two homicides that are 2 years apart, and they say that they are surrounded with similar circumstances, and the fact that they went and got ice cream, and the fact that they both had a bunch of bullets in them. But the thing that they don't talk about is, where are these bullets? Are they, a crime of passion is what they're saying. The DA said that this is a crime of passion for Rachel Del Tondo. It's a crime of passion. And now you have to remember the wording is, Lauren said she looked around, didn't see any cars, anything suspicious, nothing like that, and that she watched Rachel walk up to the side of the door, and that she didn't necessarily see her go in, but that she was at the side of the door. So then clearly, then Rachel would have to walk back down the driveway because that's where Rachel was when she was shot a bunch of times. But how are they labeling this a crime of passion? What gives them that? Like, for example, Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie allegedly, strangled, manual strangulation. That's like a crime of passion. So how is, was Tyreek Pugh a crime of passion because he was shot a bunch of times, because Rachel Del Tondo was shot a bunch of times, and you're saying it's a crime of passion, but so was Tyreek. So, what? I just, if somebody was shot in their bedroom and they were laying in bed. This is the bottom of your driveway. Felicia, how was my day? Just snazzy. Thank you for asking. Dear John Paul, I have questions. Well, you should just hit him up in the DMs. Oh, gosh. Okay. Let's see. I mean, I would be personally, John Paul, I would take it very personally if I wasn't on good terms with Mr. and Mrs. Del Tondo, and if I was in your shoes with, writing about their daughter all like over 100 times, and you boast about that you write, if you wrote about her and Sheldon and everything to do with this, over 100 articles, and yet they can't fucking stand you. Like they fucking despise you. How does that happen? And yet you continue to fucking make money off of Rachael. Isn't it because you just don't flat out give a fuck? Isn't that the truth? But hey, I'm blocking people on my YouTube channel. I'm so fucking awful. If Sheldon wanted her dead, I think, why would he do it right in the middle of the road and just, oh, you mean, okay, but Tyree, yeah. Well, I don't believe that that's the crime scene, but I got one better for you. If Sheldon did it, why would you take the murder weapon and go home and sleep with it? I mean, that's just, oh shit. Whoops. Canadian Mama, I accidentally, I blocked you, so you're gonna have to come with your all. Just kidding. What trajectory were the bullets that killed Rachael? Was she shot from behind or from the front? Well, you guys, let's go with the DA says. I mean, if it's a crime of passion, how do you think Rachael was shot? Oh, you fixed it? Oh, thank God. Thank God someone's a fixer. So yeah, if Rachael, if it was a crime of passion, I mean, and then my question is, I mean, everybody hopefully would be saying in the front. I don't think a crime of passion is shooting somebody in the back, but hey, what I want to know is why, in the midst of all the Rachael Del Tondo homicide, murder investigation, nobody wants to talk about this, but why did the assistant DA leave? Her first up, Jen. Why did she leave? Interesting. They've never been specific. There's been different reports on that. I won't speak on what I know, but let's just go for the reports, and that was between 8 to 12. I mean, we're talking about the same. So, John Paul, you're writing all these articles about, like, there's all this corruption, and office buildings are getting raided, and one of your confidential informants tells you that she's getting death threats. That she's in fear for her life. The police are following her. Did she ever say that she was in fear from Sheldon Jeter Jr.? And the answer is no. She never said that to you. But that would be my question that I would ask you. But the question is, would you lie about it? And I don't think you would. I mean, I think you were pretty honest when you said Rachel never. Um, Rachel said that she didn't have sexual relations with Sheldon, and I believe that you believed her because if you didn't, then why are you having her as a source? Aren't sources supposed to tell you the truth? So when do you determine if a source is no longer useful? If you catch them in a lie, um, do you blackmail them? You say, okay, well, I know that you were lying, so this is what you're gonna do for me now, and I won't put you on blast. I mean, I don't fucking know. What was she telling John Paul to be considered a source? Um, I think kind of how this went down is he got that email, and that was a way for him to have an in with Rachel then, and but she claims he claims that they came to her, that the mom did, and I believe that's accurate. But what was it exactly about? Was it about her job? Was it about these people are out to destroy my daughter's life? Um, there was only one car at the hospital parking lot. How did Sheldon get there? How did Sheldon get to the hospital parking lot? There was only one car that they were in 2016. How'd they get there, John Paul? Did you ever ask Rachel that? Hey, Rachel, I was going back to this incident report, and you and Sheldon were in the vehicle together. But he had no vehicle there. How did y'all end up in the car together? Did you ever ask her that? What do your notes tell you? I mean, don't you think that'd be kind of important? How did they wind up in the same car together? Did she pick him up? Did they drive and meet somewhere and they all got in one car? And then, and if they were having like this relationship, Frank's out of town. Frank's in, what do you call it? He's at the Super Bowl. Having fun. Went on a private plane, mentioned some girls or something like that on the interview. So why? I mean, you think they were always just going to this Aliquippa old rundown hospital and getting it on? And do you really think that's what was happening? Because I mean, my answer is no to that. Mm-mm-mm. And do you think it's ironic that they got caught on the same weekend that he's not there? You know what one of my sources told me? One of my sources told me that there was a video going around and that it was not good. And then it involved police officers. Just wondering if we have the same. Oh, that's a good question. I'd like to know if this is from Allie79. I'd like to know if it's true that in order to print a story, you have to have two sources that aren't tied together, minus documents or the like. Well, I'm gonna have to put this up here, which would be, I'm gonna agree with Mod Squad here. Allie, responsible journalism isn't what it used to be back in the days before the internet. Also, though, we're giving John Paul a little too much credit here. He is not rocking a journalism degree. Just so we're clear there. You guys do know that he did not go and obtain a journalism degree from any university. Just so we're clear about that. He wants to take digs at me being an investigator or PI for the family or whatever. It's kind of like sports in a way. Like, you're given talents, you're given gifts, and but the difference between me and you, John Paul, is I can at least say that, I don't believe that you have to go to school to be actually, if you want to write. But you, in the same breath, would then say, oh, but fake PI over here. Well, fake journalism over here. So you should be careful. Sex tapes. That kind of is the perfect alibi if you were going to have someone do it for you. So then this is the best question that I have for John Paul. John Paul, you've done the research. You know that report was printed out in May or April of 2017. This person got it and had it for almost 6 months. May, June, July, August, September, October. Why did they sit on it for 6 months before they decided to leak it? Why do you think somebody sat on it for 6 months? If, Frank got that information, Frank got that report April or May, I don't have the sheet offhand, of 2017. 2017. So, but yet the leak, which is that report being then emailed out to Rachel's work, Rachel's friends, and then the media outlets. Why would this person, Frank, who obtained it because Joe said he gave it to him on the 48 Hours first episode, well, 6 months go by. Hot damn. That's right before election, right? When's election? November? Your buddy Matty Poo Poo is up for what do you call it? He's running for councilman, right? Isn't that right? Something like that. Interesting. Now I have no idea if that means anything, but I mean, why would someone sit on that for 6 months? Because, and then, why didn't nobody sue the shit out of anybody? Or was that what was about to happen? I mean, why wouldn't Rachel and Sheldon sue the Aleppo Police Department? Do you think they have a right to sue? No, yes. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that they have a right to sue? Melissa, do you think that Sheldon and Rachel would have a right to sue and it be a winnable case due to the police department handing over an incident report along with two people's personal information, that's social security numbers, birthday, all the addresses, everything, signatures, without the written paperwork to request that type of information and to pay for it? And then not to mention the fact that there was added stuff that wouldn't be in there regardless. I mean, and then Rachel Altondo is, I don't know, put on leave from her job because of all of this. And now you're placing a huge target on both of their backs in some capacity, in some way, some shape, you know. So what do you think? I mean, everybody. Mod Squad says yes. Melissa says yes. How about this? Spoiler alert, spoiler alerts. Do you take good notes, John Paul? Do you use like pen, paper? Do you do like a voice recorder? Do you meet with your people in person, or do you do everything over the phone? Do you text? Do you email? Oh, they just said it. What do you mean? In Beaver, the DA just said it was a crime of passion. It's clearly a case, a case of crime of passion here, and well, you'd have to ask the DA that, but he deemed it. He deemed it. Because Couch told him to say and said opposite. Why would one oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you there. Thank you there. Rights of people like Rachel and Sheldon do not seem to be high on the list of concerns with law enforcement in Beaver County, in my opinion. Let's see. John Paul's been rarely tossing out any articles, writing it at all. And I'm just curious if Aunt Lala and Shift and your obsession with me is hindering your ability to, or is it causing writer's block or something like that? Maybe I can help you out. So I just rolled my eyes. Okay. Nope. Rachel's murder is unsolved. It's an unsolved homicide. So I'm going to play this one more time for people. Take a look. Oh, man. Ooh. Unsolved.
He got on council that January. Yes, he was here. He was working with, not working with, but the Beaver County dude.
Yeah, John Paul.
He didn't want him to write anything about it. So he admitted to me one time. He was like, damn right, I'm going to tell him everything. I don't want him writing about me.
Mod Squad. Ooh. Mod Squad. Ooh. I just think it's very telling that the Deltondos don't want anything to do with Mr. John Paul here. So, and that he continues to write and make money off of their daughter's death and the language that he uses and the information that he's giving to people are sources that are definitely biased. They're definitely biased sources. And I mean, do you think that Frank Ochoa is going to say, "Yeah, I killed Rachel Deltondo"? No. But see, Frank Ochoa has been one of John Paul's sources for a long time. Same with Matt. Same with Jen. And then out of the blue, Lauren Watkins talks to 48 Hours. Why did you guys make any attempt to talk to the other gentleman that was in that vehicle? Because it would be impossible for him to think that Lauren was going back to Rachel's. The statement that he gave, that's 100% impossible with the statement that Lauren gave saying that they didn't say that to Ty. They were telling Ty that they weren't hanging out anymore. So nobody thought to question that. No, and in fact, I hear from police officers saying, "Oh my God, I never even thought about that." What the fuck? I mean, I don't have words for that shit. Tina's out. I used to love 48 Hours and Dateline and such shows until I began to realize how little they ever really know about the truth of the true crime they are covering. Yeah. Yep. Well, because all it is a bunch of people telling their version of whatever it is that it may be. And lies. You shouldn't say lies. It's just when things are that conflicting. I mean, what the f? I mean, I think it's pretty bad when someone says, "Well, yeah, I'm going to tell him because I don't want him writing about me." What? What does he blackmail you? Like, what do you mean? If you don't give him what he wants, and he's going to write about you? This is nuts. I know that John Paul's been asked to write about the mayor. I haven't seen that. No, seriously, guys, what happened to investigative reporters? I don't know. You can ask John Paul. He labels himself an investigative reporter. And all I've noticed is in his work is that he just stirs up, chaos, and then, oh, that's not my problem. Now it's their problem to deal with it. I brought it to their attention, and now it's like, wait, what? Okay, sounds good. Great job. I mean, they're so bent on the fact that this is their one thing they're hanging on to. Oh my God, Lana said he was 63 and not 36, as I said it was the son, not the dad, in Pugh's case. You guys, we're talking about one very important thing here. My assertions of it do not change. The fact that he was 63 or 36, a father and a son were living together. They were from New York. They both worked at the Pittsburgh airport. It's in the middle of COVID, and he said he worked a double. I said, first of all, this this man still has a wife that lives in New York, but he travels for work. But they bought a house in Plan 6 of Aliquippa. Like, that's just very out there. It didn't add up. It was just out there. And then, so did they check and make sure that this gentleman worked the double like he said? Do they have surveillance of what time he actually left? Okay, the way he came. Everybody's using that 51. Which way did he come? Like, literally everybody was coming from that direction. And he called in and said that Pugh, he didn't know who it was at the time. He said that in the 911 call, that it looked like he had been hit by a car. He looked like he'd been hit. I don't know how you mistake that. Then his vehicle was moved, and that all four witnesses that came down, you got Brandon Wexler, Richardson, and the two other witnesses, father and son, all of which are white. And then I showed the reenactment that if Brandon Wexler said, him and Brandon and Sheldon would have crossed paths. Like, literally, they would have been at the crime scene at the same time because of where Sheldon's vehicle was on Two Cousins camera and where Brandon Wexler's vehicle was on the 319 Keel Street camera. They're legit a minute apart from each other. So if you back them up a minute, because they would have to get to their respective locations, if you back them up, they're going to cross and intersect literally right where the crime scene is. So how did Brandon not see this crime occur? In fact, he said he saw no vehicles. So he saw nothing except that he did see this body. And when you put all these pieces together, the 319 Keogh Street camera was off. A Richardson. There's like, it was just. Okay, because we're going off of the fact of, oh, you just dropped him off. It has to be you because you were just with him and you came home without Pew. You left with him, but then you came back without him. Well, I was never planning on coming back with him because he had to work. Whether or not he was going to work or he was going to stay up there and do whatever, I was never planning on him coming back with me. But that was what they were saying to him. You left with him and you came back without him. Well, can't the same be like, can't I say the same thing? Like Lauren was planning on going and hanging out with Rachael later. So why would you not drop off Tyree first? Tyree first, and then both of you asses go and do whatever you want. No, instead, Lauren drops off Rachael, and she is murdered within 1 minute. After texting her to go for a walk. I mean, when you talk about circumstantial evidence, how could you say that Lauren Watkins doesn't have more circumstantial evidence against her than, say, Sheldon? Sheldon was not with Rachael that evening. He didn't go and get ice cream that evening with them. But yet he's the ice cream killer. He didn't go with them to get ice cream. ATL Auditor, U.S. Constitution. What a nameful, man. Were they dirty cops? Well, yeah, according to John Paul, they were, because that's all he's been talking about and writing about prior to Rachel's murder was the corruption, this alleged corruption of not just, it wasn't just police officers, it was officials. It was like, you know, the mayor's office was raided. Sam Gill's office was raided. There was an investigation into all of this alleged corruption. Same thing would happen around Officer Nimes' death with this, you know, with Aliquippa Police Department being investigated for alleged corruption. And then it ends up taking out, in 2003 to 2004, a huge drug ring. I don't know if ATL was a troll or not. I have no idea. Here's the bomb question of all bombs for you, Mr. Paul. And I'll cheers you to this. Sheldon didn't own a gun in 2018. but yet commits a murder in 2018 with somebody else's gun, then what do you think? He just went and returned it to them and said, hey, thank you so much. Here you go. Thank you. Here you go. And then just went on his merry way. But then decides that for no apparent reason, again, he wants to commit another murder in 2020, but this time he buys a gun just at the end of March, so roughly maybe 6 weeks beforehand, and commits a murder with this 6-week-old gun and then sleeps with it. And the cops come up to his place and he just is chilling at the house, not doing anything.
Your camera is ready for setup. Follow the instructions in the SimpliSafe app to get started.
Like that. This place is complete surround sound with all cameras, you name it. Cops come, talk to him. No gunpowder, no nothing. He knows his house is 24 hours surveillance, the way the neighbors set up the cameras on purpose. The cops then leave. And he's got all these alleged bullets, magazines, a gun that he slept with. He doesn't think, oh my fucking God. Oh my God, they're coming for me. They're coming for me. Let me get rid of this shit. Let me just throw this shit away. Because they didn't go upstairs. There was no search warrant. They didn't search the house when they first came. So they come. They search. They don't get anything, or they don't search. They come, they talk to him. He agrees to talk to them. He goes outside, does more, of an interview in a car. Then comes inside and was just like, all right, sweet. I just think I'll just hang out here. Just lay on the couch and wait around, sitting around, doing nothing. Look at the ceiling. They tow the car, they take his phone. Or they don't tow the car because he doesn't think that they tow the car. They drive it away, but then it supposedly breaks down, and then they tow it. And then, where's Santacola? Where's his lawyer? Where's his lawyer? He has a lawyer. You hear it. I'm Santacola. I represent the interests of Sheldon Jeter Jr. in this particular case, and he's a person of interest in the Rachael Del Tondo homicide. There's police officers, not one, not two, but 6 at his house, questioning him for a homicide. Where's Santacola? Then the cops call, say, hey, you can come pick up your phone. It's good to come and get. And the car is ready to, you can come get your car. Well, that's funny because it's not Sheldon's vehicle. So why are they asking Sheldon to do that? Because that's not how it works. And you have to go to the impound. You don't go to the station. You go to wherever, the impound lot or wherever they did their, it would have been at Junax. He doesn't have a vehicle because you guys took it. So how is this? Oh, wait, so we're going to come pick you up and then we'll bring you back. Does it sound at all fucking normal? Oh, and by the way, when they leave, they basically get everybody out of that house. They then serve the search warrant to then go in and recover all of this shit that they recovered. You think that's normal? And there's all this shit in there. All this stuff is in there. But meanwhile, there's people coming in and out of that house all day. And he just was like, I got rid of Rachel's gun that I suppose he murdered with, but I'm just going to leave that one up there. Even after the police came there, I'm just going to leave everything up there. You're not going to put it all in a duffel bag and load up everything that's in your room, put it all in a duffel bag, and I don't know, go bury it out in the backyard, or better yet, have somebody come pick you up and you leave with it. I mean, I don't know, just anything. Anything but what had happened, which was nothing. He didn't do anything. You don't think that's at all, but he's this mastermind that got away with a what? A mafia style hit. I mean, is that truly, you're just like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. He's a fucking idiot. That's what is that. I know that's what you've been telling people, that Sheldon's this idiot, and you don't know shit about Sheldon. You never took the time to know Sheldon. You don't know a goddamn thing about Sheldon. But you led people to believe and only showed pictures of just horseshit. And then you saw the crime scene photos like that I saw, or I shouldn't say the crime scene photos, but his bedroom photos. You've seen those, right? I know you have. So then explain to me how an officer would give him his card. Like, here, buddy, if you can think of anything else, call us type of thing. Gives him the card. And then Sheldon goes upstairs and thinks that the best thing to do with this is to put it and lay it up right against and right between, or a magazine standing up. And you'd have to like physically put it between two items to get it to stand up, which is right next to a magazine standing up. And just thought nothing of it, like, let's leave that magazine standing there. I mean, and then did you also see those, did you pay attention to those room photos? Anything catch your eye? I mean, I know that you claim to be really, really good at what you do. Anything kind of pop out at you? Because, you know, the photos, when they're taking them, it's, you have to take a picture at the door so you can see what the room looks like from when you walk up to the door. You got to get a picture like that. Did you ever compare that first initial picture to other pictures? Maybe you should. Maybe you should. So, I mean, I just, whew. But you know what your sources claim, John Paul? You know what your sources, that, and when I say your sources, because they are your sources, right? They think that Sheldon parked at Wendy's and walked on over and hid and waited, shut up Rachael, and then just went running across back to Wendy's, got in his vehicle, and then drove down, you know, to get to Franklin, and then drove down to go by where the Ohio River is, and then pitched the gun in the Ohio River. But not before he went home to change, and then went and pitched this gun in the Ohio River. And then they told detectives to get a dive team in that river and go get the gun. But nobody did. Because, I don't know. It's only a murder investigation. But where would your sources get this fucking wild story from that Sheldon drove, would be seen on all these cameras, just like he was seen on cameras coming on Franklin Avenue? Again, this is all alleged from these sources. Pitches the gun, but then, hey, I'm gonna go kill Pugh, but I'm not gonna throw that gun in the river. Instead, I'm gonna keep everything in my room just as is. That fucking just, woo. I mean, I'm a logical person, and I don't care if you are 15 years old, okay? If you are 30 years old, if you're 5 years old, okay? My 5-year-old would hide a wrapper so that I wouldn't know that he had maybe 3 pieces of candy versus 2, right? He's 5. For candy, but I'm just going to leave my room completely interesting. Just fucking crazy. Oh, and then I'm gonna take that card that he gave me and I'm gonna stick it right in between. Like I have to like physically like jimmy it perfectly so that it rests between a magazine and what it was laying up against. Like it's got only like you have to like physically do that versus just like take it and throw it down on your desk. Just here it goes. Like I'm going to physically put this in between 2 items because chances are I'm going to knock down actually the magazine if I was to put it like that. So was the magazine really where it was? Because I just don't believe anybody would put this where it was located, the card, if there was a magazine standing up where in fact it was. And for everybody to get a really good time frame here, when the cops got there, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. By the time that they like left and finally got the hell up out of there, like 6 o'clock in the morning. And then they came back at like 7 or 8 to get the neighbors' surveillance stuff or look at it. Not like take it, but they didn't have a warrant yet. But to look at that surveillance, and then he goes down to the station at like 5 p.m. So we're talking, let's just say 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Who came in that house? You know, I'm just like, just, woo. But hey, this is super normal. I mean, there's just no way in how you're going to keep that gun. That's just not, it's just not happening. That's just not happening. Just... And does anybody else think it's at all ironic that, I mean, just think about this. Think about this for 1 minute. You understand that if, hypothetically speaking, that if Pugh does not have his ID on him, if he does not have his ID on him, what would that mean? If he didn't have his ID on him? If he didn't have his ID on him that night, where would the police have gone? They didn't know that was Pew. They wouldn't have gone to Sheldon's. They would have no idea. Like, they'd have to wait and, figure out a way to identify the, homicide victim. But it wouldn't be, like, if he did not have his ID on him, there is no way in hell they're going to Orchard Street. At least not right then. So when the DA wants to say and the prosecutor wants to say that all roads lead to Sheldon Jeter Jr., oh, honey, this is where I think that the defense royally messed up. And no, not all roads lead to Sheldon Jeter Jr. Pew's ID leads to Sheldon Jeter Jr. And the frame job that happened to Sheldon Jeter Jr. And so ask yourselves, who knew that Pew shared the ID, the address of Sheldon? Who knew that? It's not like private, confidential information. Basically, the investigation would have taken Aliquippa. Oh, fuck. A long time. But interesting, isn't it? I think that's the most interesting part of the case, Mr. Beeve. Especially seeing that Sheldon hadn't seen him in so long. So long. Like, long time. What are the odds? I mean, this is during COVID, too. Either way, if you believe your sources and the circumstantial evidence that's out there saying that there's circumstantial evidence that points to Frankie, Sheldon, and the cops. Those are the three things that the circumstantial evidence points to. And the circumstantial evidence is allegedly with Sheldon is that he's seen, which I call complete utter bullshit. He's seen on, like there's cameras seeing him. And I think this person is lying. And it's evident because, I mean, if there was evidence that he was in Wendy's parking lot and getting out of the vehicle at the same time or right before Rachael was murdered and then getting back in his vehicle, because that Wendy's is like right there. I mean, that is very, very convincing circumstantial evidence. And then you have him on camera, supposedly driving to the river, but not before stopping at home to change his clothes. Just woo. I mean, I don't know where they get these, but I'm the crazy one. But I'm the crazy one because I simply say that You watched the same trial I did. What did you think about the officer that nobody, not a single person, could testify to putting the blankets in the vehicle? Does that not blow your mind? I mean, how can you sit there as an investigative journalist, sit there and you're listening because you were there every single day, proudly blasting it, sitting there. And every time, did you place the blanket in the car? Did you place the blanket in the SUV? Nope, 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 nope. Not a single person could testify to how that blanket got in that vehicle to protect it. But yet, the first picture that is seen at Junax, there's this bright fluorescent orange blanket that's just sprawled across the driver's seat. And it's like, and then you have surveillance cameras on, like I said, and they're all motion, and there's tons of motion going on. And you know what get this. This is what's hilarious. Their excuse is that the camera must not have been rolling because out of all the time while they were there were spots that there was gaps in this, footage. And that the blanket had to be placed during one of the gaps in the footage. Okay, so, and then a police officer just is driving it versus getting it towed, and then it breaks down, the vehicle breaks down. You're okay with all of this? You think this is no big deal? Like, how could you literally write your articles and say there's not, like, that this is not clear and convincing evidence that is there the possibility that a lot of stuff was tampered with? The answer is 100% yes. Why didn't they test the holster that the gun was in when it was, underneath the bed in the mattress? If you were to open up the door to get into the vehicle, and if you were to open the door again to get out of the vehicle, how is there no gunpowder on that, the door part? Did he open up the door with his teeth? I guess all of this is, there's gunpowder residue in in 3 different locations, but none of which were found on Jeter's hands the night, 3-4 hours after the murder. Let's see what else. Had to wait to serve the search warrant. They got them out of the house to then serve the search warrant so that nobody was in there. That's just fucking amazing. Um, 319 Keel Street, camera just happens to be off. One of the investigators, detectives, is seen closing the door so that the rest of the interview cannot be heard of Brandon Wexler. God. But this is just like, and then the other thing is that the bullets, the shell casings that were at the crime scene, there's there's 2 different makes. So there's 4 of one and 3 of the other, of which one of the sets, like they're not even, like they're nowhere to be found in Sheldon's house at all. So those just happen to be like the last 3 that he had. Because he just had a random box of just, whatever you can get your hands on. I mean, he just bought this gun 6 months ago. And I mean, 6 weeks ago. John Paul, do you think it was crazy how old those boxes of bullets look? Did you ever take a look at those the box of bullets? Did you ever take a look at those? And those bullet boxes look like they've been around since like fucking Nam. But he just bought this gun 6 weeks ago. But those bullet boxes, I mean, they were beat up. I think that's weird. Do you think they came from the evidence locker? Oh my God. Do you think they came from the evidence locker at Alcova Police Department? I heard stuff just walks up out of there. I mean, literally those boxes look like they're from. Woo! Go ahead. You have all the photos. You and CBS. Why don't you guys blow them up? And why don't you examine those bullet boxes? Tell me if those look like brand new boxes to you. But yet your confidential informant, source, whatever word you want to use, is murdered 6 months after becoming a source for you. And you don't think it has anything to do with what she knew. Interesting. You at first thought that, but then you said, nah, I don't feel that way anymore. I think it's more about, what was it? Her personal choices. Well, wouldn't Frank Ochoa be a personal choice? Her personal life. I think that's very vague of you, to be honest. So no gunpowder anywhere? No, there's gunpowder. Yeah, so but hey, this 48 hours episode is surely to rock our boxes, man. I mean, they're showing the same footage as the first one, so cheers to 48 hours. Go get them. Let's do this one more time, though. Just because I can. John Paul, this one's for you. Should I like the good one? Should I like the 4-minute one? Should I do a leakage of the 4-minute one? I don't know if they're ready for that. That's probably pretty excessive, Lana. Chad's like, yeah, show it. Your channel. Boom.
He got on council that January. Yes, he was working with, not working with, but the Beaver County dude.
You're at John Paul.
him to write anything about me. So he admitted to me one time, he was like, damn right, I'm gonna tell him everything. I don't want him writing about me.
Out of street cred, buddy. Out of street cred. Out of street cred. I'm gonna be in the Beaver County Inn. I'm gonna be in the Beaver County Inn. Sorry. Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right. Well, I'm doing a midnight special tonight, guys. I'm doing an O.J. Simpson versus Scott Peterson case discussion based on evidence. Expose him, sis. Shit, I don't know. I just want the truth. I mean, I don't understand why you would get into this line of work, and I mean, I know why it happens, but it's fucking crazy. I'm gonna be in the Beaver County Inn. I'm gonna be in the Beaver County Inn. So, let's see. Oh, I want to do it, but I don't know if I should. Woo! All right. Put on your notifications. I'm sure I got something good on my sleeve. Until next time, guys. You guys are great. Thank you, mods. Kenny Mama, good to see. Good to see your name. Callie, sorry that I timed you out there, Kenny Mama. Everybody that was participating in chat, thank you so much. All the trolls, obviously. If you're going to give me your Friday night, I'm flattered. Thank you. And what else? Oh, if you could like this video, and then I posted on my comment section or my community page part. If you can share that, trying to get the word out. So, hey, we got our voices. We got to use them. So, crazy chick, thank you so much. And yeah, guys, I'll be back here at midnight. I'm going to go handle some business, and I will be back. But yep, it's OJ and Scott Peterson. So if you guys like true crime, you'll enjoy that episode. Great live, Lana. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rydell. All right, guys, we'll see you soon. Oh, last but not least, Tracy. Thinking about you. Love you. Praying for you. Talk to you soon.